Welcome to our weekly Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on July 16th to the 20th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money, especially during the summer months when the liquidity is low, which means prices can move around quite a bit. So just be mindful of that. All right, so we'll start off as usual by looking at our Forex Factory calendar here. And coming up this week, we have, first off, we have China GDP numbers. So we don't, or I don't generally trade the Chinese currencies. However, it will have an impact on Australia, Australia and New Zealand, since they are such big exporters to China. So that will be GDP will be important for China. And then we have on Monday, we have retail sales and core retail sales numbers for the US. Again, important numbers that the Fed keeps track of. So we need to keep an eye on that. Important, very, very important number here, CPI for New Zealand, but also very important here, monetary policy meeting minutes for Australia. Australia has not been raising rates, and so far they have not raised rates. At this point, they're not expected to do anything. But again, it's a commentary that will have an impact. So we saw last week, Bank of Canada raised rates, but during the press conference, they were not as upbeat about the future prospects of the economy. They were concerned about NAFTA. They were concerned about trade wars and so forth. So even though they raised rates, and they said the economy currently was doing well, but the concerns about the future prospects was really what pushed the Canadian dollar down, and we saw dollar CAD go up as a result. So these are the things that will make a difference. So pay attention to how they talk about the future prospects. So anything about trade wars and things like that will have a negative impact. And then we have Bank of England, Governor Carney speaking. Anytime any of the central bankers speak, it can have an impact. So he will keep an eye on that. Average earnings index. So this one here is kind of like non-farm payrolls is for the US. So average earnings, so not only the employment numbers that will have an impact, it would be the average earnings index as well. So if the average earnings go down, that will be negative for the British pound, or if the employment numbers change too much. So what they want to see, or the central banks want to see, is that as the economy is growing and expanding, the hourly earnings should go up as well. And when they don't match the rate of growth, then there is room for or reason for concern. So that's what we're looking for there. And another important thing coming up this week will be Fed Chair Powell is testifying in front of the Congress. So that will be, again, be important. Any comments that come out of, any questions that he gets asked, and his response to those questions can move the market. So keeping an eye on your audio feed keeping an audio feed on, or keeping an eye on your news feed will be important, because these comments can come out of nowhere as he's testifying, and they can have a market moving impact. And then CPI numbers for British pound here. So we are expecting the CPI to go up, inflation to go up. This is a critical number that central bank will watch. And if this one decreases, that will be negative for British pound. But if it goes up like it's supposed, or like it's being forecasted here, that will be positive for the British pound. And then we have building permits numbers. And again, another day of testifying here for Fed Chair Powell there. And Australia, we have employment numbers, and this will, of course, have direct impact on Australian dollars, retail numbers for British pound. And coming up on Friday, we have a Canadian inflation number as well as a retail sales number for Canada. So this is these numbers will be important, especially now that we are seeing trade wars and concerns about trade wars, tariffs going up from all kinds of countries. So these numbers will start playing more of an important role now, because market participants will be looking to see what the impact of these new, as the tariffs kick in, what is the impact of these tariffs on the retail sales and these numbers. All right, so let's move on to our charts now. Okay, so here we have our euro chart. We'll start off with euro dollar as usual. For the euro dollar here, let's have a quick peek. It's still range bound here. As we can see, price has been going down, but it's sideways at this moment. Hasn't quite managed to break the low here and still hasn't managed to break the high. So this is the range that the price has been trading in. So for now, the bias here would be neutral based on this. When price gets into the high, looking for a sell. If it comes into the bottom here, looking for a buy here. Based on the weekly here, the weekly candle close is bearish, but there are these pins in the bottom. So there is concern around that. So overall, though, I'm looking for it to trade down towards the bottom of the range, but there is it could go up here as well. For now, it is range bound, and I'm just expecting it to hold between this 1.1850 level and then 1.1520 level in the bottom here. So range bound, looking for it to come towards the bottom of the range. Pound dollar here. Pound has also been kind of going sideways, hasn't really done a whole lot. So this is what we have for last several weeks, 4 or 5 weeks here. Price has just been trading in this range. We are seeing these multiple pins in the bottom here, though. So that is a bit concerning. When we see multiple pins in the bottom, generally means that price could go up higher. So I will watch out for that. Right now, it is still looking bearish within this consolidation. So I would expect it to come down towards a 1.30. 50 level, but again, because we have all these pins in the bottom, that I would find that concerning, and we could see price go up higher. So if it breaks out of this little range here, I would look for it to go higher into this previous level here. So again, it hasn't really done a whole lot over the last few weeks, just sort of moved around in this consolidation in the range here. So right now, my bias is to the downside, and I'm looking for it to go into this 130.50 level here. But again, there is possibility, if it breaks this high here, possibility for it to go into the top of this range here at a 134.80 level. But for now, this is also range bound. Aussie dollar here. This one has given us a very neutral candle close for the week. And we have pins on both sides, very small candle body, very, very neutral. And again, we can see we had multiple pins here as well. So price pushed up, but hasn't been able to break through this previous support resistance level here. So a bias is neutral for Aussie dollar. So how do we trade this? I would look for price to go into the high there of 0.7480 level, and look for one of these formations. So some sort of either double top or some sort of reversal signal right into 0.7480 would be my first thought of taking a short there and looking for price to come back into the range, into the bottom here. And then once price comes here, looking for a potential buy at the bottom here, 0.7320-ish level here. Unless the price breaks through the high here, then we have an opportunity for price to go all the way up, because this big move, this big drop that we had seen, that will open up then and it can go all the way up. So right now it is making lower highs, it's holding at these levels. So for now, the overall bias is still to the downside. It's consolidating in this range, so I would look for it to bounce off of the high of the range and move towards the bottom of the range. New Zealand dollar here, this one is looking bearish. We saw a drop, a pullback. This is our previous support resistance level. This is kind of like the Australian dollar that we saw here. Price is holding below this previous support, which is turning into resistance here. This is what we saw here. This previous support turned into resistance, and now we have a bearish candle close. So based on this, I will be looking for price to drop here. Target would be 66.80 level. And then below that, we are looking at 65.80 level. So there is some room to the downside. Actually, there's let's say 66.20. So 67.80 and then 66.20 once it breaks the low here. So bias is to the downside for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD was interesting because we saw Bank of Canada raise rates, and as a result of that, we saw sharp drop, and then just as quickly we saw the prices turn around. At this point here, it's just for the last 2 weeks, it's been sideways over here. It hasn't broken through the support here. Last week or the week prior to that, we had nice bearish candle close, but it got stuck at the bottom here. So it still hasn't broken through. So now it's interesting. We have the last 2 weeks, it's been trading in this range. So for now, the easiest thing to look for would be, well, how does the price react at the high? Because we have 2 pins in this area here, just like we had 2 pins previously up here. The difference between these 2 pins is that this is a green candle close, whereas this one was red. So I would prefer them flipped around for a move to the downside. So that's why we have to be cautious with this one. Had they flipped around, had the red one been here, I would have said bias is to the downside and I would be looking for a drop. But because we have a green pin here, or a green candle with a pin on top, so makes it a little bit neutral. Pin shows that there are sellers there, and the green candle body shows that there are buyers there. So we are stuck in this a very short range. So in this case, right now it's looking bullish, so it can go to the top of the range here, 1.3220 level. And if it crosses that, then I would be looking for price to go higher. But I would expect price to have trouble at that range. I would expect price to struggle at 1.3220 level. But if it gets through, then that opens up that move to the next level, which is the next high here at 33.80 level. And if it doesn't break the high, I would look this 1.3220 level, I would look for it to drop into the bottom at 130.50 level or 60 level, and then come back into this lower range here. So overall, the move is still to the downside here. Well, bigger move is to the upside, but right now we are into this pullback here. And if it breaks the low, I would expect it to continue. But again, the two levels are very, very important at this point. So right now, dollar CAD is neutral as well. A lot of these are neutral at the moment, just because we are into summer months and stuff like that. Not a whole lot is happening at the moment, and there has been a lot of volatility with Brexit negotiations and back and forth with that, and also with the trade wars and stuff like that. So there's no clear market direction right now. Euro pound here, this is looking range bound as well. Looking at the daily chart here, that looks quite range bound. And if we were to look at, let me just get rid of was marking up some charts here. Okay, so I think we can see enough here. Okay, so here we have price trading in this range for a while now. This has been range bound for a period of time. At this point, we see rejection of the high. So I will look for price to come towards the bottom of the range. 0.8660 level will be the target to the downside. So this is, again, range bound, looking for it to come towards the bottom of the range. Euro Swiss franc here. The weekly close is looking quite bullish, looking for price to move up higher. So this is certainly bullish here. And the target for this one would be 1.1780 level here, top of this pin. And if it breaks that, the next level is a 1.1820 level to the upside. So this is looking bullish. It was trading in this range, if you see, for a long period of time, and it has now broken to the upside, which means looking for further move higher. And 1.1780 first target, 1.1820 is the second target. Pound Swiss franc here. This one is also looking bullish. Okay, so this one is looking bullish, looking for price to move higher, and target would be 1.3500. So we are actually, okay, so it is looking bullish, but we are still, it's stuck in this range, but now it looks like it's pushing higher. So we have a nice pin here, bullish pin bar. So I would look for it to go higher. Kind of like this into 1.3500. So pound Swiss franc is also bullish. Dollar Swiss franc, that's a nice daily close there. Okay, for our, okay, so this is what we have. This has also been going sideways here. We do have a bullish close into the high. So right now, so overall the move is to the upside. It is consolidating, has been consolidating for a while. So now we need to see a break to the upside. Hasn't quite broken the high just yet. So the daily close on this one was a bearish pin bar, which means it can come back into the range. So currently it's range bound with overall bias to the upside. So at this point, it can do basically the same stuff that we've been talking about. The other pairs, we can see price, it could do one of these. So we have to be mindful of that. So right now, range bound, so I would look for a bounce off of the high here for a move back into the range. But if it breaks the high, next target would be a 1.0103 level there. And then further up, we are looking at a 1.0180 level to the upside. But right now, it is range bound. And if we look at the daily close here, we have a bearish pin bar, which means it can move back down. So looking for it to move back into the range. Pound CAD still looking range bound here, bullish candle close, bullish pin bar, looking for it to move into the high here. 1.7480 level is the next target to the upside. So bullish for pound CAD. Pound yen looking bullish again. Okay, so here we had price sort of trading in this range. It has now broken above this, these little pins here. So this is looking bullish. Next target is 150.50, and beyond that, then we are moving back into the higher part here into 154.00 level. So first target is a 150.50, second target a 154 level. So bullish bias for pound yen. Euro yen looking bullish here as well. Big bullish candle close for euro yen here. So bullish, next target 132 level, 132.00, then 133.50. So bias is to the upside for euro yen. Okay, dollar yen here. This one daily close was a pin bar, but overall weekly close is bullish, and we're looking for price to move higher. Next target is 113.60 level. So right now it is bullish and looking for it to move higher back into the support resistance level. And if it goes beyond that, then we are all the way into the highs at 114.50. Overall bullish for dollar yen as well. Aussie yen looking bullish as well. We had tweezer bottom here, and now looking for it to move higher. Okay, so the first target would be 84 and then 84.70. So I think we can remove the 84. So we'll just call it 84.70. So looking for price to go into. So this has been range bound here as well. We can see for a long period of time here, for multiple weeks here, it's been range bound. Price has come into the lows and then gone higher here. So now looking for it to go towards the high of the range at 84.70 level. All right, let's take a look at gold. All right, gold looking bearish. We are into support here, into this pin. It did bounce off of that, but then it has turned around and come right back. So this is bearish and biases to the downside. Next target is 1204.63. So back into this support and resistance level. But this is an important level that it's at. So we do need to see a clear break of that, because otherwise it could turn around here. So be mindful of that. Right now it's looking bearish, and this is the move I would be looking for. But if it does not break the low here, if it does not break the low, gives a daily candle close that's bullish, it could turn around and go higher. So be mindful of that. Biases to the downside for gold. And then oil. Where's my, I think I missed my oil. Here we go. Here's the oil. All right, so it looks like oil has dropped here off of the highs. Bearish candle close here for the oil. We are into support right here. So again, we have to be careful with this one. We have to make sure that it breaks the support. Otherwise, it could turn around and go, even become range bound here. But bias is to the downside, and 66.34 would be the next level to the downside. And then beyond that, we have this 62. So let me just mark it right now. 64.11 levels. So those are the two levels to the downside, but this one could get range bound here. So keep an eye on it. If it doesn't break the low, it could go back into this consolidation. So I'd be mindful of that. But right now, bias is to the downside for gold. And let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is range bound at the moment here. So this is the daily chart that we're looking at. Hasn't quite broken out of this range. We saw a drop, it gapped down, and it hasn't, the level that it gapped down to, it hasn't broken out of that level. It bounced at the high. Now it's moving back down. So I would look for it to move down into 57.62 level here, back into the bottom of this range. But it is looking, it's looking range bound at the moment. So looking at the weekly here. So this is where we are. As we can see, this is where it has been trading. So 57.61, but it could go lower to 55.64 level. So bias still stays to the downside, and but it is range bound. Okay, and then we'll quickly cover the euro and the pound once again. Someone missed it, so we'll do a quick peek. Euro dollar range bound, looking for it to drop towards the bottom of the range, 1.1520 level. Pound as well, range bound. There are pins in the bottom, which suggest it could go higher. So if it breaks 1.3380, it could go into 1.3480 level there. All right, so that's all I have. And if you guys are interested, I am still running the Trade Copier beta test right now. And if anybody's interested, you're welcome to check it out. It is a subscription-based service, so it's a monthly $297 per month. But till end of September, I am offering basically $297. That's all you would, not till end of September, sorry. till the beginning of September, it will just be 297. So if anybody's interested, you can check it out. Basically, any trades that I take in my account will get copied to your account as well. But you have full control over your account. You can do whatever you choose with it. I don't get to see how much money is in there or what you're doing with it. So you have full control over it, but you just get my trades. And just to keep in mind, past performance is not indicative of future results because markets are dynamic and things can change. So as of October the 1st, the price is going to go up to $9.97 per month, and there will be a setup fee. Right now, because it's a beta test, I am just testing it out to see, first of all, can I do it? And then is it something that I can take on, because the stress is a little bit different when you're doing this type of a thing, and also to see, test out the logistics around the Trade Copier and so forth. So right now I'm offering it for $297 per month, but like I said, you would get so you will get some extra time till the end of till the September. You'll get for $297, or if you want to buy the yearly subscription, it'll be $2,970. Oh, and you get grandfathered in even when the price goes up. If you go in at this point, you will forever stay at this price point, even if you, even when the price goes up. All right, so we'll wrap it up here. You guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and I will see you again next weekend. Bye for now.